It's really timely that LDC is here to provide user-friendly online tools that can help a teacher like me who's been in the classroom for a while to transition to the Common Core, because all of the curriculum that they have available online guides you through the process so that you can identify which Common Core standards you're attempting to teach in a particular lesson or unit of study.
Whether you're going to design a new unit or you're looking to revamp something that you've already done in the past, the online template really helps you reevaluate what you've done in the past. It really forces you to look at where you want to go and what kind of products you want them to do by the end of the unit.
It helps you to become more well-versed in the Common Core because it's so directly linked to Common Core.
What really helped was the templates that the LDC organization had provided through their platform. Teachers would type prompts or even the tasks that they wanted, and then when you click at a certain section, a tab, it'll populate the standards, the Common Core standards that a teacher should be aware of. And that just kind of cuts down on a lot of the planning time.
I think that the way that it's set up, it would make things a lot easier for new teachers or even student teachers. If I had had this when I was student teaching, I think a lot of my planning time would have been cut in half and I actually would have been able to sleep back then.
We're trying to raise the level of academic rigor. One of the key components in our definition of academic rigor is to help students to develop their argumentative and expository writing skills, and also to help kids to think critically and to present them with complex texts to help them improve their reading skills as well.
Because of the way it's structured, it has a section for the actual tasks, the demands, the cognitive demands that you want the kids to go through, and the different standards that need to be addressed. And, you know, how do you bring all of that together?
I mean, that's the beauty of it. You can design a specific lesson just for one day or for part of a particular class, or you can use the entire template to design an entire unit that can run for as many weeks as you need in the classroom. Usually that's more than half the battle, is getting them to buy into, you know, being willing to do the work. So once you're able to engage them, a lot of the activities are doable for students.
The culminating task was for students to write an essay, and this was a prompt that LDC helped me to write through the online resources. What are the strengths and weaknesses of American democracy? Write an essay in which you discuss important features of a democracy and evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of American democracy. Support your position with evidence from the texts. And I listed several texts that we read in class where students could draw from, in addition to some current events that were taking place at the time. So one suggested current event were the events in Ferguson, Missouri. I also left it open for students to add any additional sources.
One activity that I had not previously used that specifically came out of LDC training was a prompt deconstruction activity that they introduced during the training. The activity itself requires that students read a prompt. They actually have to break it down into several key chunks. When I first saw it at the LDC training, I truthfully thought it was somewhat simplistic. When I did the task in the classroom, I was surprised at how hard it was for my students to actually get the work done. What I projected to be a 20-minute activity turned into 40 minutes, and in one class, an hour.
Now you're seeing a lot of instances where students are talking to each other, going through an essay or an article, and they're actually pulling it apart and going chunk by chunk with another person so they can understand it. Hence, it improves their understanding of what they're reading, which before, if you had a teacher just lecturing at, you may not get that scaffolding from another peer. So that helps our EL or language learners in that regard as well.
As we went through the activity, I realized that this was one of the major issues that my department had been talking about the last year or two in department meetings, about how a lot of our students were not fully understanding the writing prompts, and their writing wasn't reflecting what we were asking them to do.
Teachers really clamor for opportunities to work with one another.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because it was so eye-opening to myself in the classroom that I shared it in a department meeting at the end of the first month of the school year. And I showed the other teachers in my department the product with the poster the students had done, and I explained to them not only the process, but this is what we've been talking about. They're so used to just reading and answering that first part of the prompt, and they never really answer the rest of the follow-up questions.
It allows for that autonomy that you give to teams of teachers to collaborate, and there is that support system built into the program.
That triggered other discussions in the department, and other teachers agreed to try it out, and it's been pretty successful within the English department. I think at this point most of us are using it in some way.
One teacher went, she shared it with others. I mean, not the whole thing, but a strategy, and it addressed a need. It really provides that structure for teachers to work together and give the team that autonomy, the team.
The trainers are able to explain, and sometimes you realize that just because it's on the website, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to complete that particular aspect of a unit or a module. You can skip and choose, and that's okay. And I think that's really what makes the program so useful, is that there is that flexibility built into it. A lot of it is also validating. You can look at a unit and realize I was actually going in the right direction. It makes you feel a little better about where you're going. So I think that there is definitely a lot that can help a new teacher, or even someone that's taking on a new class that you're not used to teaching.
And in addition to that, it also helps schools and students to focus on important skills that they need to be successful in college and beyond.